Ayo, HYSS the Spare here, and I wanted to try something different today, alright? Cause you know I'm always playing these games, I'm always adding my boo-boo commentary, you know, you guys are probably tired of that by now, so I was like, yo, I'm gonna tell a story today, this might be like story time, HYS, I don't know what I'm gonna call it. I'll figure it out when if I even finish this, I don't tell stories. I don't know how good I am at telling stories, but I'm gonna do it today. And today is gonna be the story of the first time I broke my arm. And this story, it was 3 years ago, 2013. I was still in 7th grade, and at that time, I was actually taking Taekwondo classes. And, in 7th grade, I've only been doing it for about a year, because I started in 2006. Or not 2006, when I was in 6th grade, because one of my old friends, Dylan, he was doing it. I was like, bro, that's freaking awesome, because, if you go on my vlog channel and, like, go all the way back to, like, 2012, 2013, I think it was, like, back when my name was Slender Bro, or something stupid, and it was, like, Slender Bro versus Dylan Grimm, right? So, we were fighting, and like play fighting, and he did, like, some cool spin around whoopsie doopsie thing, right? And I was like, bro, he does Taekwondo, that's freaking awesome. And in the video, I was like awkward, so I just like pointed at him, I was like, he does Taekwondo, So I was like, alright. I was like, bro, where do you take Taekwondo at? And he was like, oh, yeah, you know where Walmart is, right? And I was like, yeah, down the street. And he was like, yeah, it's this place called K Tiger. That's where I go get my Taekwondo training at. And at the time I was like real young, right? So that Taekwondo stuff was real cool because I was all into anime, and I was like, dang man, that's cool. All right, I'ma sign up. And it was like, bro, yeah, Sam just signed up too. Sam was his neighbor at the time, and Sam was like a belt higher than me. I think he was actually a yellow belt at the time, and he had like we had these tape things every time we took a test. We did like these little things that we answered the questions, right? And like talking Korean, explain what the words were and everything. And then he'd give us a tape, and we had like 4 or 5 tape degree things, and we get our other belt, right? So when I first started, fast forward through all this, I was a yellow belt. Alright, and I wasn't really that good. I thought I was good until I watched myself on the video. I sparred against the masters and everything, The dude's name was Masters Young. He was pretty cool. And I was like, oh man. And one time, when I was a yellow belt, about to get my orange belt, I think, this was 7th grade, and he took me to the back, and I was like, oh man, what happened, right? I was like, nah man, am I getting in trouble? What'd I do? Is he about to kick me out? What's happening? So he took me to the back, right? And was like, hey, yeah, man, when I sparred with you the other day, he was telling me, like, how good it was. I don't really remember everything he said. I'm trying to remember. It's weird. But he was telling me, like, everything that I was doing was, like, good for sparring, and he wanted me to join the tournament team, right? And at the time, I was a yellow belt, but I was also young and naive, so I was like, whoa! The tournament team, that sounds cool. That was in my head because I didn't say that out loud, because if I would have said that out loud, he probably would have smacked me on the back of my head or something. So I was like, oh, okay, and I was kind of shy at then, I still am, but it was like real bad. So I was like, oh man, so what do I have to do? And he was like, oh, well, to join the tournament team, you just gotta fill out these forms. And you gotta get your new uniform, because whenever we go to tournaments, we have a specific uniform for the tournaments. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, alright, I'll tell my mom about it. I told my mom about it, and she's like, hey, that's really good, son. See, I told you you were good. And in reality, I was stiff and I sucked. But there was room for improvement. So I was like, alright, if I join this tournament team, because that's how my friend Dylan got good. He was in the tournament team, and I was like, man, I'm gonna get good like him. I was like, alright. So when I actually joined, I was like, alright, there's all these purple belts, purple, brown, red belts, almost black belts, they're all over the place. I'm still a yellow belt at the time. And my stamina's not good. I don't know what I'm doing, right? And I'm just like, whoa, like, what is this, you know, and it was weird because all these people were so good, but they were like so much younger than me, and it was like, how are they so good? Like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, I couldn't even do a front snap kick. My roundhouse kicks were all stiff, and it looked like I had a crab up and bump. It was real awkward. I was like probably the worst in the class, and the parents were there. That's the thing that really got to me. The parents were just sitting there, and they would just watch you. And for me at the time, that was, and still, that's really awkward for me. And I don't know. I was like really insecure. So I was like, oh my god. So I couldn't do like anything. Like I didn't want to try anything and like mess up and embarrass myself. But I did, and everyone was doing like tornado kicks, and I'm only learning like roundhouse and front snap kicks, the basics, which I still didn't even know how to do. And we would all line up, and we'd do our little chariot thing, and we'd be like, and then they'd all line up, we'd get in our lines, and we did this even out of the, in the regular class, but, it was a lot of kids, and it was a little different, and he'd tell us what we were doing. He's like, we're doing a tornado kick, and I was like, oh my god, I can't do a tornado kick. What's a tornado kick? And everyone was watching me, and I was like on the closest road to the parents, so like I was right there, they could all see me. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing the tornado kicks, but like not right. If you know what a tornado kick is, if you know what you're doing, the tornado kick is, a little, you know what a tornado kick is. If you're in Taekwondo, it's kind of hard to explain, but I was doing everything wrong, okay? I would just like kind of stamp or step around and like just kick, and it was awkward, and I was like, I know I'm not doing this right, and I tried, but wasn't working. And he took me out and hooked me up with like this partner, and he taught me how to do it. And, after a couple weeks, I learned how to tornado kick. It wasn't that good, it was actually better back then, because now I'm like super stiff, and I pull my leg out of place every time I try to do it now. But about almost a year later, it was a couple months later, I was an orange belt. I had my sparring, I sparred against kids, messed up, kneed this kid named Lalo in the stomach, and he'd always cry, and I'd be like, oh my god. And, I was decent, alright? But I wasn't nowhere near as good as Dylan was. Every time I sparred against him, I get my butt kicked, because I'm kind of an offensive, fighter. I don't really like to strike first, but I just wait for him, and it just be kind of awkward because we just be sitting there, and it's like, so then he just like come at me because he was probably getting frustrated and like whoop my butt, and I was like, oh my god. I get discouraged, but at times I was like, what, he's had like 3 years more training than me, so and this is for my belt test, for my green belt, and this is a long time, like 7th grade, a year later. And I was watching everyone, and belt tests were really scary for me because I was nervous. I didn't know if I was going to do everything right. We had like these little formation positions, and I watched Sam do it, and we, at the time we were the same belt color, orange for orange, and he went, and then, I watched him, and he wasn't really that good. I'm not even gonna lie. He was actually pretty bad. He was also really sloppy, and it was awkward. Like, he'd kick, but, like, his leg would just flop on the floor, and it was like it was, I didn't know, okay? It was weird. And, me being an orange belt, I was like, alright, I don't know if I can do this, but, he called me up, and he wanted me to do a fake step back roundhouse, and I did it first, and I had this habit of kind of breaking, like I'd break my neck, not literally, but like I turned my neck every time I kick, so it looked like my neck was about to break every time I kicked. Like I'd just be like and it was weird. So I stepped back and I was like, "Aye, aye," and I did it, and he wanted me to do it again. And when I did the roundhouse kick, I had a habit of kicking way too high. Like the roundhouse kick, sparring position doesn't even have to be that high. I'd kick up to almost head level. And I kicked so fast and so hard that I slipped. Like I tripped myself, and when I kicked, I just flew up in the air, and I landed on my right wrist. And from impact, I knew it wasn't good. Like, cause when I fell, I looked down and I fell on my wrist, and I'm just looking at it the whole time, and like my wrist was snapped. Like you can just hear it. It was like like someone just took some old crusty bread, from like Walmart or something, and just like crumbled it up to your ear. And I looked at it, and it looked like some kind of, like those Egyptian dances. It was like that, but worse. Actually, if you go on my Instagram, you can probably see it. It was like, it didn't look bad on that picture, but it was pretty bad, and it hurt so bad. So when I looked down, I was like, oh my god, did I really just do this? I actually just broke my wrist. I looked at Master Zhang and I was like, oh my god. Then I looked at my wrist and I was like, oh my god. Then I looked back at him and I was like, oh my god, help me! And, he was just staring at me for like the whole time, and it took him a while to realize that my wrist is broken. My wrist is snapped, alright? And I'm just like, the adrenaline's rushing. I don't even know what's happening. I'm just kind of like, what do I do? Do I like move? Do I try to move it? I tried to move it, and it's weird because since like both my bones were the radius and the ulna, I think that's what it was. That I broke both the wrist bones. I couldn't move my fingers. I tried to move it, and it felt like I was a plastic toy. Like it just wouldn't move. Like you can feel the bones. Like it was, I'm not even finna get into detail because it was really weird, and I was freaked out. So like the whole class just gets silent, and then the master runs over to me. He was like, oh my god, Kamari, your wrist is broken. And he had a strong accent. I try not to do it because I suck at the accent, and it makes me sound like a racist, but I'm not a racist. But anyway, everybody, after he says my wrist is broken, and he stands me up, and I just like thrust my whole arm appendage limb in front of my face. Everyone just like, oh my god. And it didn't even like, it hurt, but it didn't hurt as bad because of the adrenaline. And I'm making some really awkward, messed up noises like because I was like trying not to freaking cry in front of everyone, even though I probably wouldn't have, but I was like I sound like I was going Super Saiyan, and it was kind of awkward now that I think about it, because everyone was just kind of like staring at me like, what are you doing? So they call my grandma, and my grandma, she was at home, and this lady, it was one of the kids' moms that I kind of knew, and she was pretty chill, but she was like, okay, I'm a nurse, I know what to do, just blah blah blah. And me being a student of Taekwondo, I had to be, I had to cope with it. I was trying to be polite, and when my grandma comes up here, she's just like, man, oh my god, you actually broke your wrist. And I'm just like, ah. And she's like, ah. So we go back home, and I'm just in pain because the adrenaline's starting to settle down, and I'm like about to start crying. And like the pain is so bad that I can't even explain it. So we go home, and my granddad's leaving for work. This is like before he retired. He retired like 2 months ago, and he was going to work, and my mom got in a car and she went with us, and I think my sister went with us, and everybody was just like, you broke your arm. I was just like, I know, because my wrist is snapped in front of my eyes. And they take me to the emergency room because the hospital is literally right down the street from our house. I could probably skate up there because I'm a skater, but I get up there and I'm just sitting. They put me in a wheelchair, which I don't know why. I guess because I probably wouldn't have walked anyway, so actually, I'm glad they put me in a wheelchair. But, I get in there, and they're doing all these scans, and I'm just like, Help me! What do I have to do? Are they gonna snap my wrist in place? Like, am I gonna be awake if they do that? My mom's like, yeah, you might be awake, and I'm just like, ah! And I start crying like a little girl because, you know, it happens. And you know, I was like, nah, you're putting me to sleep. Nope. And they're like doing all these scans, and I'm crying like a little girl. And they put me on like this little radiation thing. I had to put on this little pad, and they scanned it. And they're like, you're gonna have to straighten it. I was like, I can't. I was like, "Ugh." So it hurt so bad to straighten it, but I kind of had to like put it down flat, and I can just feel everything, and it was bad. And they take me to this room, and they start, you know, my master actually came up there, Master Zhang and his wife. You know, they were actually real good with my parents, and they actually drove up to this to the school, or not the school, the hospital. And you know, I guess they kind of canceled practice for the night because he and his wife drove up there to see us. And I'm just laying there like, and then you know, my sister's dad came up, everybody was there, and my grandma was like, hey, Master John, he's like, please don't sue me. And you know, we're just like, no, we're not gonna sue you. And he was like, hey, yeah. So you know, we were just talking, you know, he was asking me questions, and you know, my grandma was like, yeah, he wants to learn Japanese. And I was like, no, Korean is better. And he started laughing, and I was like, alright. And you know, I was kind of like in pain, so it was hard to talk. And you know, we were talking, he was like, yeah, you pass, you get your green belt. You know, so I was like, yay. And then they like put this thing in my nose, and I started falling asleep. You know, I guess it was for me to fall asleep. And next thing I know, I'm out of it. I didn't even realize it until I woke up. Like, my vision, I had like really bad tunnel vision. Like, it was black and hazy, and I'm just like, and I couldn't walk straight. I was drugged up. And they had me walk around a bit. You know, they kind of wrapped my wrist up a little bit. They didn't actually put a cast on me for some reason, but it was wrapped up a little bit, and then gave me a sling. And they wanted me to try to walk around with it, get used to it. And you know, my grandma was telling me when we were in the car that, like, while I was sleeping, he actually pulled my wrist back into place, and he was having trouble doing it. And I almost woke up during it, so they had to, like, just, like, gas me up a little bit, you know, make it stronger. And they gave me, like, this ibuprofen, which I still have to this day, because I never took it all. And, you know, I didn't go to school for, like, the next 2 days. You know, go on my Instagram, you can just see me, like, with the cast, you know, or not the cast, a little arm sling and a little bandage wrap thing. And you know, I was with my mom. It was October 31st, I'm pretty sure, or 21st. Yeah, it was 21st. I'll never forget that day. And I spent all the time with my arm broken with my mom. You know, it was October, and we were just watching these scary movies. You know, I had the roast chicken ramen that I used to like put little ham choplets in there. And my mom would make it. We just watched scary movies, you know, for the whole night. And you know, it was. I had to get used to it, sleeping and not like rolling over, you know. And about a week later, I got my cast, and my God, it hurt to get that cast on. First of all, I had to wait, all right. And when he put the cast on, he had to like mold my hand into it, and that was probably the second most painful part about it. And you know, to make it worse, he didn't put the cast on right, and I still have the casts on my wall. I have 2 out of the 3 that I had. And because I had that cast on for like 6 months until like April, and he didn't put it on right, so I just wasted 6 months of that, you know, with this cast on. And then they had to redo it, and they gave me this red one that I had, and you know, that started to smell really bad. Casts really stink after a while. It smells like almighty death and egg rolls and stuff, and I love egg rolls. But you know, it was just crazy. You know, I go to school, you know, a couple people signed my cast. I was like, yeah, all the girls are gonna sign my cast. No, barely anyone did. And you know, it was kind of disappointing. But you know, I couldn't really do anything. You know, I had a couple band concerts because I was in band at the time. And, you know, I'm not anymore. But you know, I couldn't go to any concerts. Then you know, a couple months later, you know, in December I was supposed to get it off, but I didn't. And they gave me this this purple cast, and it was kind of awkward because it was deformed at the end, like he didn't do it right, and it was kind of awkward because I had to walk around with it. and it looked like a boulder. It's like he tried to screw me over with a sucky looking cast, and it's weird. I didn't even want to keep that. I threw it away. And fast forward to the time where I get it taken off, because nothing really interesting happened during that besides I actually went to a concert when I got the last cast, the purple one, the one that's deformed. It was a short arm cast. It just came up to my forearm, and I went to a band concert and performed. So it was kind of hard, but I got used to it. And um, when I got that taken off, my arm was like skinny. Like it looked like I didn't eat on that side, on the right side of my arm. I just didn't get any food. And when I get that cast taken off, it was hard to like extend my arm because it was muscle memory. My arm was like that for like 6 months, right? So whenever I try to extend it, it kind of hurt, and I couldn't do it. It just like forced itself slowly, just move itself back up like how it was in the cast, and it was kind of awkward. And I was like, what do I do here? And it took me about a day or two to actually move it, and the skin was like just peeling where like the inside of your elbow is. It was just like and my sister started freaking out. I had like sweat and like dead skin, just like a whole layer. Just I had to peel all that off. It was actually kind of fun but annoying at the same time. And it just took a while for everything to get back to normal. I'm still trying to get like full mobility in my wrist because it's not as flexible. But and sometimes it actually still hurts, kind of. I don't know if it healed right or not, but it doesn't look different. Kind of, not really. Actually, it doesn't look different. But if I use it too much, it actually starts hurting. If I put too much pressure on it. But I guess that's kind of everything that happened. I actually went back to Taekwondo after I got the cast off and everything was healed, and that was in summer. And I was there long enough to take another test, and they never did give me my green belt. They never gave me my green belt. So after a while, I just kind of stopped going. I never quit. I did, but I didn't officially like tell them like I never just went back after that. I was like, bro, I broke my wrist for this, and you still, so I was just like, whatever. They're still there. I know if I wanted to, I can probably go back, but I'm not. No. So yeah, that's kind of all that kind of happened. I broke my wrist, and it still kind of hurts. I can feel it. It's weird, but I've fallen on this wrist so many times with skating. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of used to it now. But that's kind of everything that happened. I'm really hoping I never have to go through that again because it sucked. But if you like the story, man, just leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, if the story is good, if my storytelling was good, if you want me to do some more, because this is my first time actually telling a real story in detail, and it probably wasn't that detailed. I didn't actually expect this story to be that long. If this Destiny footage just came out of nowhere, it was last resort, because I didn't have any more GTA stuff. But yeah, I didn't expect it to be this long. I can only imagine what these other stories will be, because I have a couple other stories. They're probably not super crazy, but they're interesting. Like the time I got a concussion. Or the time where me and my friend. It was like last spring break. I was supposed to be going on like this double date with him and his girl, and she brought her friend, and it didn't turn out that well. Some stuff happened. I left the night, kind of depressed. So if you want me to tell some other stories, just tell me which one of those. I have some other stories I can tell, but if you want to hear some other ones, just leave a comment and I'll probably read it. I will read it because I love comments and I love replying to people. So yeah, man. This might be a new thing that I will do, along with my gaming. If you have any other ideas for me to do, tell me in the comments too. So I might do some stories, I don't know what I'm gonna call this yet. I might have a name, you know, obviously by the time this goes up tonight or tomorrow. And if you have some other suggestions on what to call it, you know, if I like that suggestion, I'll make it that the new official series name, you know. And I'm hoping the 15 of you or less that watch this leave a comment, because you know I need you guys' input on this. You know, like, you know, I don't know what you guys like. I don't know what you guys want to see. So, you know, if you give me feedback, I'll know. You know, if you didn't like the story, that sucks, because I just did this for nothing. But I'm sure at least one of you out there will, you know, enjoy the story. My storytelling will probably get better. You know, I'm not used to it. It takes time. So, you know, it's only time. You know, my storytelling and, you know, the editing, I get used to it. It'll get better. And, yeah. So, it's about that time. Leave a like and remember to subscribe, and I will see you guys later.